3, 2, 1. We're live, Ryan.
Live, man. Let's do this. Episode 32. Fuck, man. 32 is 5 years away for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 12 years behind me. Holy shit, man. Dude, that sounds a lot. This episode sucks. I don't like this. Feel old. Yeah, 32. What was I doing? And let's see. That was 12 years ago. So that was 2010. Yeah, I was like around 3 years into building Forged with Mikey. And yeah, learning a lot. I feel like 32 anyway for me was like just kind of the realization that I'm in my early 30s. Like I really should have my shit together, which is kind of what I felt like 30 and 31. But I started to get annoyed with myself at 32 because like, man, I'm not as far ahead as I wanted to be. And I have all these opportunities and things that I should be doing, but I didn't really know how to do them very effectively. I was just starting to get frustrated with myself for like not having the things that I wanted to have, and then annoyed with every roadblock I ran into. I'm like, dude, why the fuck am I having this roadblock? Because I didn't realize yet that that's just normal.
Yeah. Because was that like your first thing that you started? Was with him? Okay.
Yeah. Forge is the first company I ever had.
And then it's just like that was your first thing into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, we had no like all the things that we're talking about here on this podcast. We never discussed like what we were going to do with it, the roles, responsibilities. Like, and we literally flipped a coin in the lawyer's office about like who's going to be like president, vice president. We had never thought about or talked about any of this shit. We're just like, oh, what do you want to do? All right, let's go sell some t-shirts. Sounds fun. So we figured it all out. Yeah. So you guys doing it now, man? You're lucky you got this podcast.
That's it. Yeah, learn as you go because it's not always easy, and that's where like I'm blessed because there's so much information out there.
Dude,
I started like
it's a different world now, man.
Because I started like doing my stuff like not this business, but the entrepreneurship in high school, right? But there was so much asset like YouTube, and that was the main one, Google, books and stuff like that, where you just learn from it. So it just helps a lot.
Dude, yeah. And there's, I've been in a bunch of entrepreneurship groups and like marketing events and things. And one of the most common themes that is going across now is that, dude, everybody's struggling. Marketing is not working like it used to even fucking a year ago. And people are like, what the fuck are we going to do? And nobody has the right answer yet. So the guys at the tip of the spear on this are the guys that like are running marketing agencies on the ground, like frontline troops, figuring out what exactly is happening. And they have some things that they're trying right now. Affiliate marketing is possibly a good solution. I personally feel like everything runs in cycles. So I feel like if you're starting a brand now, the best thing you could do is the same shit that Mike and I did in the beginning before the internet was around, but we didn't have any social media. Like you had MySpace, but that was barely, just a bunch of emo kids fucking talking about how much life sucks. You know? It's different. It's a different world. So we actually had to go to events.
A little bit.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
We actually had to go to events and meet people in real life and talk with them and figure shit out and make the drives, like organize the inventory. We had to do it all. And I think now we're coming full circle to where that's kind of what has to be done because, 5 years ago, just throw a bunch of shit up online and get, 5x return on ad spend and you're profitable and you just scale it and keep dumping money in advertising. That shit does not work anymore, man.
Right.
So one of the benefits we had at the time was that it was harder to start, but once you got started, it was easier to get known. And now that's reversed, where there's so much information, it's so easy to start. But the problem is, it's so easy to start that everybody fucking has some side hustle, some clothing brand, some whatever. So it's so hard to break through the noise. And I think it is a unique opportunity for brands now that are willing to do the work, is to actually go out and throw events, go to events, sponsor events, go meet people in real life, because most people are not willing to do that. And most people are just looking at it from a marketing side. Like, I got to find some angle. I got to find some hook, some like, oh, it's the green button. I got to make the green button blue button and then I'll buy. Yeah. Like, no, dude, it's not that. It's not that. And also, I think another tactic that is going to become very useful, I've talked to a few people about this that are, been DMing me, is if you go to these events, that's what people love about apparel lines. It's like, you're not really selling apparel, you're selling a lifestyle, and you have to represent that lifestyle. So when somebody meets a new brand, they go to an event and there's a booth there and like, oh, this is cool. This person looks cool. Have a good conversation with them. You wear their t-shirt. And that brand owner talks with, 10, 50, maybe 80 people at that event. their circle is limited to those 10, 50, 80 people that they met. So the impact and the people that they can really impact with that message and the mission of their brand is only that circle of 50 to 80 people. Whereas if you document that, like if they get like hire your team, plug, here you go.
Plug.
If they hire you or somebody else, wherever they're at, to go and document that process, now if you got a good videographer that can capture that interaction and that conversation between the brand owner and these customers, and where the brand owner is explaining to the customer what they fucking love about the brand, what fires them up, like why they started it, why they created this out of nothing. And what, if you can find a way to translate that meaning onto a different medium like video, now you can broadcast that video on social media. And so those 50 to 80 people in the first circle, you can broadcast that message and get that same feeling to thousands and thousands of people. But if you don't go to that event and you don't have that content, you're just every other brand out there, like trying to get a ROAS. And like, dude, it's an unattainable cycle. It doesn't work anymore because the landscape has changed. The landscape changes significantly every 6 months. So that's kind of what I see. I think that's what's working now. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to go do that myself or shit. Although I guess for me, it's going to these entrepreneurship group things. Like I was just one last night. And I think for me and I had a conversation with somebody who, may or may end up being a client, but for me, that works for what I do. But if I was like a B2C apparel brand, man, you just got to put in the work, dude. It's not something where you can just, market your way to the top. At least not anymore. Like the game is very different than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, because I like what you said, where you become like a sea of face on social media, right? If you're running your ads and you're in front of people, like that's the first step to do and make sure you're in front of those people. But acquiring a customer is very expensive. Running ads on Facebook and Instagram right now, but it's still a great thing you should be doing. But like you said, you need to be out in front of those people, like personally. And if you can capture that on film, that's even more powerful in an ad, because it's like, oh, he's around other people. Yeah. People know him already, right? So just having that captured is huge. And then another thing we like to do with clients, since we're based out in San Diego, with Visionary, we help fitness coaches like create short form content for their social media, and we actually go film them for the week, and they have a month's worth of content.
Oh, no shit. So that's kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. Plug. So what we do is, my process is, we run the ads for them, right? Super simple. They get a lead form on Facebook or Instagram. They sign up. We get a Twilio message saying, hey, someone signed up on a calendar. Here's their phone number. And what I do is I send a personal video to them. Hey, what's up, Zach? It's Go to a Visionary Collective. I saw that you scheduled an appointment on Zoom. And I kind of just give them a spiel, just introducing myself. And so many people are like, oh, that's super cool. And the extra step I go to is like, if they can't make a Zoom meeting, I go meet up with them in person because they're local. And I just, that's that extra connection where it's like, oh, not everyone can do that if you're not that local area, but it's just like putting yourself out there more.
Yeah, unless you're in like a small town in Montana or somebody of like 300 people, like you're gonna have people in your market that are big enough that you can saturate your entire client list, like with people in your local area. Yeah, which is funny because that ties into exactly what the questions are going to be. Yeah. We didn't actually plan this. No. We're just like,
we never plan anything.
It's funny how like a lot of these conversations they're cyclical. Like you just turn into what we want to talk about, because that's exactly how fucking business is. This isn't us like guessing at it. This is us like real time, like overlaying current patterns or current problems with existing patterns. And like, that's just the way it goes, man.
Exactly.
What's the exact question that we had?
So the topic is, I thought about this morning with coming in, and I want to ask Ryan of how does he follow up referrals, right? When you get on a phone with a client that's brand new, they might have heard about you, or someone that's completely cold and still maybe heard about you on an ad, or you just never met this person usually. I just want to know like your follow-up process, and like, do you have to like close them since they already know you a little bit, like walk through that process?
Yeah, our whole thing, like I'm a terrible salesman, to be honest. Like I couldn't sell a life raft to a drowning man. Like I'm fucking terrible.
Go away.
No, you don't want this, bro. No, it's not for you. You can swim. You can do it. You can do it. You don't need me. Yeah. But for me, I really like solving problems, and I enjoy helping people. Well, I enjoy helping the right people. I don't like helping fucking pieces of shit. But the right people, yeah, I really enjoy helping them achieve their goals. So for me, when I look at it, I don't look at it as closing them. I look at it like, how can I help this person the most? And when I approach it like that, a lot of times, in fact, the majority of the times, we're not the best solution for them, because the operation we have is strictly geared for medium to high volume. Like, we can't do onesie, twosie. We can't do like a dozen or 2 dozen. Like, that's not our jam. And we don't do print on demand. Like, we're a very specific operation for clothing brands that are, doing probably 6 figures and want to go to 7. We know those problems, and we have all the infrastructure to solve those exact problems. It's kind of like a square peg, round hole. If a customer comes in, like, we have a very, very specific square, hole in the box, and they come in, there's something, they got like a pie shape or something, like, hey man, like, I can make it fit. But like, this is really not, I don't suggest you go with us because these are the problems you're going to have. I suggest you go over here. Like, this is the pie hole. This is the right thing, that the solutions that you're looking for, we don't have them, but here's who does, and go to them. So probably 60 to 80% of the people that I talk to, we're not a good fit for. But what I try to do is help them the most, because then whether I'm a good fit for them or not, they know that I help them, and we become top of mind. So now anytime that person ever has a conversation with anybody else for the next 10 years about apparel, they're gonna be like, oh, you know who helped me out? Oh, that guy Ryan. What's his company? Oh, Industry Fabrics. Oh, you know what? We didn't actually work with them, but he pointed me to this other person or place that was a really good fit. But for what you need, because I explained to them what we're a good fit for, like, you're doing exactly what he does. Like, you should really talk to him.
Yeah.
So most of our referrals are not even from our existing clients. Because the funny thing is, a lot of our existing clients like want to keep us under wraps, so like they don't advertise that they work with us. But it's from just helping a whole bunch of random people with anything apparel related, and we just help them source things. We point them to links or connections or just free advice. That's why I started that YouTube channel years ago, because like, I was having the same conversations with people. I'm like, how do you set up a company? Like, here's a 30-minute video, goes over everything from the naming to the social media to the domain to the like every single thing you need to do it. Because I was like, and it's free. I'm like, dude, just go, here's what you need, go do it. And 99% of people aren't going to do it anyway. So I'm like, and I don't want to charge them, $500 for that information. And I don't want to have the same conversation over and over again for any amount of money. It's so fucking boring. Yeah. So I just put on video. And now when we get those questions, it's like, dude, yeah, totally. That's super common. Here's a video that I think would, really help shed some light on the next steps for you. And if you get to the point where you need, 100 units or more, let's have a conversation and maybe we're a good fit.
Because I like what you said. You don't push them away and be like, oh, it's just not a good fit.
No,
right?
no,
you push them, and you say, I think I like the peg hole, where it's just like, right now it's not the best fit for where we are and where you are, and that's completely fine. But what I can help you with is point you in the right direction, and then maybe later down the line, come work with us, and it just plants that seed in their mind, like, oh wow, they really did help me to go that direction, because a lot of people are just lost.
Because you'll have some clients that really don't care, because a lot of them are very like price conscious. And I don't want to overcharge somebody for the value that we bring. So if they're outside of our wheelhouse, I tell them straight up, it's like, yeah, we can do this, but for the volume that you're doing, like, we're going to be too expensive. And like, I don't recommend you do this. Here's like, for fulfillment, as an example, so many people come to us like, I want you to run a fulfillment. I'm like, well, how many orders are you doing a month? Like 24. I'm like, hey, it's probably not a good choice to work with us until you're doing at least 50 to 100 orders a month. And then we're a good fit. But until then, like, here's the exact system on how we have our fulfillment set up. Here's what I suggest you do. Here's where we get all our shit. Here's the Uline connection. Here's, actionwp.com, where we get our shelving. Like, here's all the stuff you need to do that. In fact, I think we did a whole podcast on that exact setup. Maybe a YouTube video.
I think so.
Yeah. But I'm like, hey, here's all the information you need. Go build it yourself. And then once in your spare bedroom or your garage.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, and then once it gets big enough to where you're looking at like a commercial space or whatever to expand, now that's the point where it might make sense to have a conversation, come over to us as a fulfillment client. But we get some clients who are like, yeah, I don't care, I just don't want to deal with it, I'll pay you more. Like, okay, that's fine too, but I don't want to take those clients or customers and just close them on it, because if we're not a good fit for them, I don't want to fucking overcharge them. You know what I mean? And at low volume, we're way overpriced. Like technically we can do 24 units, but I'm like, dude, it's going to be like $30 a t-shirt. You know what I mean? It's gonna like, it's not a good fit. I wouldn't do this myself. I don't recommend you do it. You know, like when I want to do one-off stuff, I go to Zazzle.com.
What's that?
It's like a print-on-demand operation.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I like them because they have a lot more blank options than most of the other ones, and their screen print was really good quality. I have a few still in my closet that I've had for like 7 years. It's good stuff. I mean, they got holes in them now.
Hey, that's
but I was like, dude, I was happy with it. I just want one, and even at my cost, like for me to print one T-shirt personally cost me hundreds of dollars. So when I tell them like, yeah, we can print T-shirts, like, oh, I just want one. I'm like, bro, it's going to be a $200 T-shirt. Like, you don't want this.
Right.
And I tell them, hey, Zazzle.com. There you go.
Right.
It's way easier.
Yeah. So I want to kind of get into like maybe like your sales process, right? In the aspect of something for me in the beginning of my business, it was all referral, which is great. But something that I always think in the back of my mind is like the skill of me being able to acquire a customer on my own, right? That's huge because if referral based or whatever happens, like that's huge because people trust you and that's already built on the side. But like building your company bigger, acquiring customer, using ads and things like that, that's where I'm like, okay, I want to be able to do that. And what I've learned with like my sales process is I'm new to sales, right? And Alex Hermosi, shout out to Alex always, but he explained most people get nervous to sell. He's like, the moment you stop thinking of selling and you're just helping purely and that's it. You're just helping. And you get on that Zoom call with them, you're showing because they scheduled a call with you. They want to hear how you're going to help them. That's all they give a fuck about. They don't care about you. So you go into that call and you just give them what you can, but it's not pitching what you have. Exactly. They already know what you do.
I'm a terrible salesman, dude.
So you just ask the questions of, what are you looking for? You know, you just go in deep dive of what you can do to help, right? And there's 3 pillars of just the sales of the objections, right? And you can overcome those by just asking questions. You don't have to, some people come out like so salesy when it's like in reality, you don't need to be doing
the best fit is to find somebody who needs exactly what you've built. Like they need the products or services or capabilities that you already have. And then that's a good fit. But if you sell them on shit and you're trying to put a fucking round thing in a square hole, like, dude, that's not a good fit, and they're not going to be happy with you.
Exactly,
they're going to be upset with you as a business because they feel like you closed them and you sold them something they didn't really need, and that's not a recipe for longevity in a business because it'll ruin your fucking reputation. The only reason we have a business at all is because of our reputation.
Because there's the logical sale and the emotional sale. And it's the same thing you just said, like you can emotionally sell somebody and be like, oh, and then the next day they're like, what the fuck? Or they start working with you and like, this is not what I expected. Compared to the logical is like, you're going to sell them because it's the perfect fit. And they're like, wow, this is it. Compared to like the emotional, they might in that moment like, oh, maybe feel attacked or anything like that. Or just like, yeah, let's fucking do this. And then they realize, oh, fuck, like, I wasn't ready.
That's why I like to be not only super clear with what we do, but also very clear with what we don't do. Because a lot of times they'll have, expectations that you didn't even think about, and they just assume that you do this type of thing. And you're like, hold on, that's a whole other thing that we don't even do, or maybe it's an add-on service and you didn't know that they wanted it. And then you got to tell them like, hey man, like this is actually like quite a bit more extra for us to take this on. But yeah, that's why like being super clear with what you offer and what that does not include is great for longevity of your client base, because then they know exactly what they're getting. It's a lot of times just miscommunication that people get upset about because they didn't understand what they were getting, or they had a misconception of what it was because you didn't outline it, strongly enough.
I'm curious about like, not your funnel, but just like how it works. If I got a referral from somebody and say, oh, industry thread ropes, Ryan, hit him up.
Oh God, to be honest, we suck at it. This is yeah. Well, that's what I mean. This is like we're still plugging holes in our boat, man. Like this is one of the things that I am focusing on right now, is because it was actually funny enough, something that Hermosi said in a podcast. He's like basically, when he's looking to acquire businesses, and not that we want to be acquired, but just he acquires businesses that are structured very well, and I value his opinion on it. So it's like, okay, what are the 3 things he's looking for, and am I doing a job of fitting that? So there's three things. So one is product. We have a good product market fit. Yeah, we do. Do we deliver that? Like fulfillment? Like, is the customer happy with that product market fit? Yes, usually very happy with it. But the third one was, this is where we are absolutely not up to par with it, is like, do you have a reliable method of acquiring customers or new customers? I was like, no, we do not. Because we took an inventory of our clients. We work with about maybe 200, around 200 clients a year, roughly on average. So we've worked with over the years hundreds of different clients, and we took an inventory of them a couple months ago. And where did they come from? Was it SEO? Was it Instagram? Was it social? Was it advertising? Whatever. And it was 99.9% of them came from me. Like me just talking about shit and doing stuff. And there's two ways to look at that. One is like, fuck yeah, I'm awesome. Right? Like, yeah, I'm the best. But the other problem is like, God dang, now that means that I am so stuck in being this. I have not built a funnel or a way for new customers to come in that don't know me. So that's a huge like block for us right now, because I just was like cruising around. I'm like, oh dude, I'm just gonna go help people. I'm doing what I enjoy doing. And that's great. But I realized through that exercise, we're never going to get as big as I want to get if I'm the one that is the lightning rod for all these conversations and all these things. We have to develop something bigger, broadcast a bigger, broader signal so that we can reach people that don't know who I am or aren't in my circles. And yeah, but that was a real big like ego hit. I'm like, yeah, oh wait, no, that actually means I'm dumb.
I like too. It's like not dumb to me. It's just like, most people, I feel like they don't think about it and they're completely bottlenecked. Like in the beginning of business, because they're like, oh, I can do the editing, I can do the market, I can do that. What happens if something happens to you where you're not able to do that anymore? It's like your business, like that you have for your family or anything like that. It's like, okay, what now? What?
And part of it too, after we realized that, I was like, wow, okay, that's really dumb of me not to realize that and change it earlier. But also, kind of impressed we got as big as we did without that major part of the operation. It's like, wow, okay, like maybe we're doing a good job on doing what we're doing, but it still doesn't mean it doesn't need to get fixed, because even from wherever we're at this year, 7, it's like, if we want to go to 100, it's a whole different fucking ballgame. If we want to go to 300, another different ballgame. And none of that, we're never going to get there if I'm the one on Instagram, like, hey bro, here's what we're doing, blah, blah. Like, that's not how it works. We need strong SEO. We need PR. We need actual advertising, like market positioning. We need to treat it like an actual, like a real company, not just me, helping out my friends, which is essentially what it is right now. We just built, that's the front end is me. And we just built a pretty robust infrastructure behind that. But now the infrastructure we have, I mean, we could do, shit, if we're doing between 7 and 10 this year, we could do 20. We could do 20 without changing any of our infrastructure.
Because I think this is a really good kind of topic to go over. You've been in business for how long? 15?
15 years total, but yeah, it's 7 in this company.
Perfect. So people that, like, for the listeners out there that are either new to business and they're like, oh, I feel that way, where it's like I'm doing everything and like you want to get this delegation and process. Ryan's been doing it for 15 years and he's still in that aspect where he wants to learn to like not be like so bottlenecked. So I know you've been thinking about that.
Well, it's only because I want to grow though.
Exactly. And that's where you want to grow. So I'm just curious, like what in your mind is like, I have to do this in order to do that?
Well, I think just the mechanics of scaling a business after a certain point, it has to, the mechanism for attracting and acquiring and maintaining new clients and customers, it can't be just me doing email or DM. You know what I mean? Like that has got us this far and it might be able to get us a little bit further, but I have big fucking goals, dude. And there's no way we're going to get to where I want to go doing that. And we could stay where we're at. I could keep doing this and we could just focus on profitability for the next, 5 years and have a decent life. But like, I'm not interested in that. I like growing. I like the game, dude. I like this fucking like 3D chess Tetris thing that we got going on with the multiple businesses and the different infrastructure aspects and the people and leadership and just the challenges, dude. I'm getting constantly challenged to be better in every way. Like I fucking learn something every day. And that's what I enjoy about it. But if I just stayed where we are, I take that opportunity to change and challenge myself to learn away from myself. Like, yeah, we might make more money short term, and that'd be fine. I go buy a boat or whatever. But like I'm not interested in that. I'll be bored of a boat in 6 months. I'll be bored of a car in 6 months. I'll be bored of anything that I could buy with this thing in 6 months. But I never get bored with the game, man. Yeah. This is the best fucking game ever. This is the only game I play. This is my only fucking hobby, dude. I don't have any interest. I don't have any other thing I do. This is my only fucking hobby.
Yeah. I think that's the way I look at business too. It's just like, I look at ads like gambling. It's like a game to me.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, because you're working so hard to like working smart in order to like do the formula of ad copy and things like that. And you're like, all right, let's see how this runs. Oh, that didn't do well. Why? It's the same thing. It's like you're throwing money out there, and then once it like something hits, you're like, fuck yeah, like it worked. And then it's like now that formula is kind of there. I got that. I learned from it. Now how do I like push that even further? Is that spending more money on something that's working? And it's like, yeah, it's just a game, and it's an addicting fucking game if you stick to it long enough. You know, some people are like, one weekend they're like, fuck this. Yeah,
and I like there's different. Like you're always leveling up too. Like at the road to 1 million, certain challenges. The road to 5 million, certain challenges. The road to 10, like where we're at now, definitely different challenges we had, previously. And they're all like cyclical, like they're all repetitive in nature. It's just that the stakes are a little bit higher. The dollar amount's a little bit bigger. The leadership challenges are a little bit larger. We got more people. Like it's a different game, man. But that's why I think like you have to, is an entrepreneur born or made? I think it's probably a little bit of both. Like you have to have little bit of like predisposition to risk and wanting to kind of run your own ship and build your own path. But then also you have to have the ego to fucking trust yourself to go build big shit, but also the humility to learn from your mistakes and go and progress. Because there's lots of people who have big ego and run, successful small companies, but they fucking burn through people, they burn through clients, they burn through relationships. And at the end of the day, like I don't think any of those people are really fucking happy, regardless of the way they get financially, because they're kind of shitty people, I don't know. I think you can play the game a variety of different ways. But what I've seen, the patterns that I've seen for what I would consider doing it right and reaching a truly massive level, all those guys are doing the same thing. They're all focusing on relationships. They're all focusing on doing the right thing, treating the customers right, like not being a dickhead. Like when they make mergers or partnerships, like it's a truly win-win situation. All those guys are winning fucking big time. They're all, hundreds of millions of dollars or billion-dollar companies. And they all do the same thing. So that tells me, okay, this is kind of how I've been operating, and seeing them do it, I do believe this is the right path. Even though you might see some marketing fuck, you're like, oh, I got my blah, 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 I got my jet, or I got my whatever. Like, yeah, but you ain't gonna have in 5 years from now because you're burning all your fucking bridges. Nobody's gonna like you. You're lying about 90% of your life, and you're kind of a piece of shit. Like, dude, that's not, even if you maintain it, you're not gonna be fucking happy because you're not happy with yourself, yeah, same thing as this podcast, dude, just open and honest, and all the things that I think are right and all the things that we're doing wrong and that we're fixing in real time. Yeah, shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's what it is.
It is.
It's fucking frustrating sometimes, dude. I'm like, God, we should be way further ahead than we are.
We talked about how you kind of handle when like a referral comes to you, right? The process behind that. We did like explain like what I kind of do when I get like a new lead or anything, stuff like that. But I'm curious because I don't go to a lot of events. What me and Dylan decided to do last night is like, all right, we're really addicted now, but we're going to read the same book every single, together. So like awesome. When we like every single month or 2 books a month, we're like on the same page because he might take something away that I didn't and vice versa.
Oh man,
and we just like, we'll just be knowing what we want to do.
That's a good partnership, man.
Yeah. Second one is do go to like a conference every single month, right? That like if we can, right?
It's really expensive.
Yeah. But still, I think that's because we have money in the bank, right? And it's not all just going towards customers. I think it's such a huge thing in the early stages of investing in yourself.
Yeah, maybe like one a quarter.
One a quarter.
Because I found like, especially the first time I went to like Arete Syndicate one was the first one I got involved in, aside from EO, but EO is kind of a different animal. Dude, it was like, it took me 3 months to really figure out. So there's 3 processes or 3 phases of digesting the information. The first phase is like about a month long, and people do it way faster. This is just, maybe I'm just really slow at it, but this is what it took me. There's so much information that you get at some of these events. I mean, some of them are kind of worthless, but the Arete ones I think are like top notch. So the first month for me is really just figuring out what the fuck did I hear? What did I learn? Like really trying to understand at a deep level what it was that was said. Mm-hmm. The second month is figuring out how what I learned, how can I apply that to my business and kind of figuring out the structure of how to actually do that. And then the third month is actually implementing it into the business. So I think it takes me about, at least it did initially, 3 months to like fully absorb and implement all the things that I learned. And I still only got like 5% or 10% of what was put out there. But I think going to one a month might be a little much at first. But also depends what flavor, like what specific you're looking for. Like if you're looking for marketing stuff, you got to go to marketing one. If you're looking for like a life problem thing, like you got to go to life thing. Yeah. They're all very different. Yeah. And they solve different problems.
Yeah.
It's kind of like podcasts. Like we talk about, there's different podcasts that talk about, aliens and whatever. It's just different.
I love aliens.
sometimes we talk about aliens too.
Yeah. Because maybe it wasn't conferences, but yeah, you're right. Like, and that's a lot too. But I think, and I know something that we want to do once a month is like a course, right? If it's like an online course with somebody, where it's just like what we could take on our own and learn from that, right? Yeah. So we're just constantly growing so quickly, where it's like, okay, this is what because sometimes you get so in it and you're like, what else can we do? Mm-hmm. But then there's one thing that you see online and you're like, oh, do more research on that. And like, that could really explode the business. Just that one little thing, So we don't know what we don't know. So it's just always like kind of investing back in ourselves. But that's what I was talking about, going to an event. And I agree, every quarter would be a great one. How do you go up to someone at a networking event? And like, I know you don't probably try to get them as a client. You just talk to them, right?
No,
like,
yeah.
How's that work? Sounds simple, but I was just curious.
Well, most people like to talk about themselves. So, and one of the things I like about these networking events, or at least like the aggressive entrepreneur ones, is that most of these guys are like me. Like they don't have like any real hobbies or interests. They're just fully dedicated to the game and they fucking love it. And what do people love to talk about? Shit they're interested in. So the first thing you can ask is like, hey man, what do you do? Or whatever. And like, that's an awkward conversation everywhere else. But they're like, fuck yeah, I do this and this. And like, oh, cool. Or even if they're not, or you don't have anything in common, you're like, oh, hey, have you met so-and-so over there? He does something in your industry. It sounds like you guys should connect. And then if you know them, you go over there and connect them. Like, hey, by the way, Bobby, this is Dave. You guys do this. I was talking to you guys about this. And it seems like you guys, might have some common ground here to do some work together. But that's also the thing that people don't understand is that these are real life conversations that are happening. And that's the exact same conversation that I have on DM. Exact same conversation I have in email. If it's like talking to somebody and they're like, oh, this and this. I'm like, dude, do you know so-and-so on Instagram? I send them their profile. I'm like, oh, he does this. Oh, have you guys talked about this? And I'll check with them first before I do a text intro or whatever. Like, hey, is it okay if I connect you with this person or whatever? And then I'll connect them. And people do the same for me. Like if they're like, hey, this person's got this clothing brand or whatever, they're struggling with this problem. Is this something you can help with? I take a look at it and like, sometimes if it's right, like, yeah, that's exactly what we do. We can definitely help. And then they connect. If we're not a good fit, like say they're doing like overseas sourcing or something that's, not our wheelhouse, we're like, hey, we don't do that particular thing, but here's some assets that they might find useful. Like here's how we handle that particular thing. We might be useful in fulfillment capability for them, but it looks like they have the production aspect. Like that's a different alignment than we have. So I just try to help. But I think people get overwhelmed with reaching out or DMing or emailing clients and they think they have to be all this like pitchy and hooks and blah, blah, blah. Like it's the exact same thing you would say to somebody in real life, just in words. Exact same thing. Like don't be weird. Don't be awkward about it. It would be super awkward if you came up to somebody and be like, have you ever thought about scaling your life? Like what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like you are a fucking weirdo. But that's how these DMs come across. Have you ever thought about PR? Have you ever thought about scaling your life? Are you happy? I'm like, what are you saying? You're so weird. And that's exactly these conversations. Like, but people overthink it, man. Like, just say in DM or email what you would say in real life, and don't overcomplicate it.
I agree.
You get those emails too, or those DMs? Like, oh my God.
It's just funny because it's like, oh man, because when I create videos like for people, it's important to have a hook for a video because it's like you want to bring value to that video. But right when I was thinking,
Well,
I
an
was
actual
like,
ad is different. That's broadcast to everybody.
exactly.
Talking about personal.
But that's what I mean because it's just like my brain to a hook. And then like a real life person came up to me with a hook. I'm like,
what are you talking? You might get a left hook.
Dude, I can't. My face is so red right now.
But you're right though. Like the things that you're talking about with advertising, you do need a hook because that's speaking. Like it's still in person.
Yeah.
But that's speaking from a stage.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to 100 people, and there might be 20 people in there like, you know what? I do need help with that. Oh fuck yeah, he's talking to me. But then when you have a personal conversation, like a DM is different than an ad.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that they're trying to send fucking advertising copy in a fucking DM. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah. Like it's awkward. And then the worst is people like, hi, hey, or can I ask you a question? Like, motherfucker, now you're wasting twice my time. Just ask the motherfucking question. Like, dude, it's so annoying. If anybody asks me like, hi, or hey, or can I pick your brain? Like, dude, no.
Can I buy you a coffee? Right?
Oh God, I know.
Buy my own fucking coffee.
But some people like if I know them, like, dude, fuck yeah, I'll go. I'll go. Like, I'm meeting up with, one friend today and another two guys tomorrow that are from the. Actually, two team guys want to start a clothing line. Nice. I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, I'll help you out. I'm like, dude, that would be awesome. I'd love to. I feel honored that they even want to talk to me about that because most team guys are like, fuck that guy, Ryan.
Yeah.
He's out there driving Lamborghinis and looking all ripped and juicy. Fuck that guy. Maybe not ripped.
Ripped and juicy.
Not ripped, but big and juicy. I'll take that.
Oh, man. I'm crying.
No, so it's cool, man. I'm excited for that conversation tomorrow. And, like I said, we're actually not a good fit for them for production because a modern apparel brand, the way they want to do it, I think is smart. They want to focus on print on demand operation to get the community out there and get the product without having any infrastructure. I'm like, dude, very low barrier to entry, very low cost to start it up, and you learn a lot and you can test a lot. I'm like, dude, that's a great idea. So hopefully my goal is that I can help them out, and then when it gets big enough and they want to switch to screen printing or inventory model, cool. Then we're there, But it's just, I don't know. I do enjoy those conversations, but I've never talked to somebody before and like, can I pick your brain? No, you cannot. It's like, watch all my shit. Like, this is why I do all this free stuff.
Right.
Only way you can do that is if you watch all the fucking YouTube videos and listen to all the fucking podcasts. Right. If you still have a question I've not answered, by all means, shoot it because I want to hear your question. Because that means we truly haven't answered that. It's probably a legitimate question that would be interesting topic to go over.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, listen to all free shit.
Because I think it's different too. Like if someone watches, let's just say they watch this entire podcast where we cover like referral. There's a lot of things we didn't talk about, right? Mm-hmm. If they watch this thing and we said like, loved it, I have a question about that episode. I think it's like, oh, you
totally.
Look because but it's like you always say like, look at their Instagram, look at their profile, what's their website look like? Like, are they actually putting work in, or are they just curious? It's the same
thing we talk about in person. If you just go up to a person, tap them on the shoulder, and go hi, be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or like tap on the shoulder, can I ask you a question? What do you?
You just did.
You did. Yes. No. Now go away. Like, but if you're like, hey, I saw this, it brought up a question. Here's my question. Like, dude, fuck yeah. Awesome. Right. Let's talk about it. That's cool. But people need to understand, like, they come across super fucking weird when they treat DM conversations different than in-person conversations. Because when you're writing it out, think, if I were to meet this person in person, would this be odd if I said this? If the answer is yes, reword it.
Do it differently.
Yeah. Hi.
Can I buy you a coffee? What? That's funny, man.
But I do meet some cool people in person, and I do meet some cool people on DMs too. Like, like I met some, like that's how I met Sean from Lions on Sheep. We were just DMing each other and talking, and then it turns out he was doing an event like a block away from where I was living in Austin at the time. Like, bro, you're in town? Like, fuck, I'll come down. We've been talking for like a year on DM first. Came down and met him for the first time. Was like, fuck, cool, all right.
That's
now we're bros.
That's so sick. That's
DM's it's such a powerful tool, man, but you just got to know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to not be a weirdo. And it's not fucking hard because most of these people who are weird on DMs, they're not weird in person. They just think they need to act differently in a different medium. And humans are humans, dude. You just got to act the same as you would in person. I think that's a generally just a good rule.
Oh, yeah. Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Might be different. I'm curious about you specifically because if someone came into this place or knocked without an appointment, but if I went into, because I always like to figure out like, how could I go get people? I think going in person straight up is just like, I don't know, to me. If I went up to went into a mom and pop gym and said, hey, my name's Coda with Visionary. We help fitness coaches in the local area with short form content. How's your social media looking? Or do you have a couple minutes to talk about whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know exactly what I'll say, but to you, is that like, yeah, go try that. Go see if it's worth it, or if it's like, it's like,
well, I think there's different ways to do it because I personally, like, we've had people come in here and like, it's so annoying. Like, and they just pop in without, I think it's disrespectful because like, you just think I'm fucking not busy and I'm just gonna come in here and I have random time. I barely hang out with my family. I barely hang out with my friends. And you think you just come in here and like,
right.
I'm just literally doing nothing with my feet up. Like, I have fucking time for this. Like, no. So, but I do think it is very useful to snipe specific clients sometimes. If you think and you know that you could do a really good job for somebody, I do think it's appropriate to kind of craft a message for them. And in this case, what I would do, if you're looking for a new client that's in like the fitness space or like a gym, for example, I would look at all the gyms that are around, look at their Instagram and check out the ones that actually value their Instagram.
Right.
Or that maybe they have a good thing going in person, but they haven't translated that to Instagram yet. Like they're a known gym, but they just don't focus on Instagram or content. And what you could do in that case, be like, look, we're in a unique position. We're growing. We're looking to take on new clients. I see what you're doing online. I see you have a valuable community. You have great athletes. I think I would love to be able to shoot a free video for you just to see how you like it. And then if you like it, do more stuff. If not, if it's just okay if we use that content for our role as well, and we both have, good thing. It takes you a couple hours of work. They get good quality content from it. And just say, hey, there's no commitment, no nothing. Just ask if you do post it, please just tag us in it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because even if they're not a good client, now they're posting your work.
Right.
Now they're a referral for you. And especially if they don't post a whole lot, anybody who goes to that place is going to see your work on their site. And if they do post a lot, that means they get a lot of traffic. Those are people who are going to see your shit. So that's usually worth it for a few hours worth of work, even if that person is not your client.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's like a sample. But you
can't run around doing samples for everybody because a lot of people are just.
But there's an incentive for you too. Like for me, I mean, like where it's like, all right, cool, we'll come film you, but like tag us if you use it, or I would like to use it for my like own reel or like for my own type of content, So I think
but also too, have a articulate a way to where you're describing the value that you bring to them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, it's been shown that, for every 1,000 views that you get one new customer in here. And one new customer is, $200 a month for CrossFit Gym or whatever. So if we'll leave this to free, if you find there's an uptick in clients and you find this useful, hit us up and we can work out like a monthly rate or weekly, depending on how much content you want, we can work something out. But that's on the back end. I try not to front load those conversations because it's all like, you really got to build the value first. But that's where it's very useful to snipe those clients, because if you have to match up what they need with your skills and your capability. Mm-hmm. And if you find a client or potential client that is a great fit, dude, yeah, you can do that stuff for sure. But it's so much work on your end. You definitely can't just go walking around the block, knocking on stuff. And most of those people too, you're just like randomly hoping that it's a good fit. And chances are it's not. Yeah. There's so many ways to
faster ways.
Yeah, faster ways. I mean, you could Google and check out 10 Instagrams across town in the time that it would take you to drive halfway to one.
Right.
Yeah. And if you look at 10, you'll find one that's like, oh fuck, these guys look like they'd be a great fit for us, or would be a great fit for them.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, there's tons of ways, man. But there's the broad marketing and the messaging, and then there's the sniping and crafting like a very specific value proposition. But ultimately, I think it comes down to not trying to sell the person on it, just provide them so much value that it fucking overflows from them into everybody else that they ever come in contact with, or anybody else that ever sees the content that you created for them. Make it undeniable.
I agree. I know because we don't have like anything that we like send out DM wise. So I'm like, oh, that helps right there, you know, because that's another avenue. But it's trying to figure out the time and place, and there's always enough time in the day. But it's just like, oh, that's another thing that we got to start doing and pushing out. So,
yeah, and a lot of times these gyms will have like a star athlete or a couple star athletes. Most of the star athletes understand, usually more than the gym, the value of social media. So you can usually talk with the gym owner and like, hey, can you get so-and-so in here? And then they're going to want to do it because they know their star athlete has a big following online. So you're videoing the star athlete in their space. Now the star athlete is also going to shout it out. So the gym is stoked because the star athlete has great content. They're shouting out their gym. It's like a win-win-win, you know?
I agree. I'm writing that one down because I like that process.
It's just alignment, dude. If you can align your goals with their goals, then they're going to say yes.
Right.
You know, because they want the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well,
shit, dude, there we go.
That was great. I love it.
All right, cool. Well, if you guys are listening, thanks for sticking with us.
Definitely.
I think what are we at? 4,000? Was it 4,000 per month or total?
Total right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got to bump those numbers up.
I know. Yeah.
So we're doing the best we can with this stuff. Thank you guys for following along. We would appreciate if you guys would send us some questions.
Yeah.
You know, like we need some topics to figure out what you guys are struggling with, and we're here for it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the random people is the ones I say, don't fucking hit me up with these stupid questions or whatever. If you're listening, you're not a fucking random person. If you're listening to this and you've been rolling with us for a while, shoot us the questions. I'm not as mean as I come across sometimes.
I love how you laugh sometimes.
Like, yeah. Maybe I am a little mean sometimes. But we're doing this for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's partly for us. Like, you know, I enjoy these conversations and working through my own, you know, helps me articulate my position on a lot of things, which helps me be better at making decisions for myself in the future. But ultimately, like, this broadcast is for you. This is for you guys. And let us help you and let us know what you guys are struggling with so we can become a part of it.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
All right.
Good. Shake and bake.